Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Let's study together. Today we will be studying about The Merchant of Venice, written by William Shakespeare, Act 1, Scene 3. Now in this scene, Bassanio and Shylock are introduced to us. Bassanio and Shylock enters the scene. Shylock, 3,000 ducats, well? Bassanio, aye sir, for 3 months. Shylock, for 3 months, well? Bassanio, for the which, as I told you, Antonio shall be bound. So here in this conversation, Shylock asks Bassanio that to confirm the sum of money that he is trying to lend. It is 3,000 ducats. He confirms thrice to Bassanio that whether he confirms to take a loan of that particular sum and who would be the guarantee person, that in case Bassanio fails to pay that sum to Shylock, he was the Jewish moneylender, and by Bassanio had come here in the name of Antonio, he is taking a loan from Shylock, and that sum is 3,000 ducats. So Shylock here is confirming to Bassanio that he is paying that 3,000 ducats to him in the name of Antonio. Shylock says, Antonio shall be bound. Well, by this he means to say that, okay, I understand. So if you are unable to pay, Antonio is the one who is guarantees it, and if you fail, he is the one that I should charge. Bassanio, may you steed me? Will you pleasure me? Shall I know your answer? So here Bassanio wants to know, he asks Shylock that can you help me by lending that sum of money? Will you give me that happiness because I want it desperately? What would be your answer? Please tell me. Shylock says, Antonio is a good man. He says positive about Antonio, and then Bassanio says, have you heard any imputation to the contrary? That means, have you heard anything opposite? Is it not that what is good that you have heard? Have you heard something different? Shylock says, oh, no. My meaning in saying he is a good man is to have you understand me that he is sufficient. Yet he means are in supposition. He hath an argosy, bound in Tripolis, another to the Indies. I understand moreover upon the Rialto he had a third at Mexico, a fourth for England, and other ventures he had squandered abroad. So here Shylock tries to say that he has investigated a lot about Antonio and then confirms Bassanio by saying that what? No. What I mean in saying that Antonio is a good man and that he has enough money to guarantee the loan that you are taking on his name, but the investments are uncertain right now because he has one ship bound for Tripoli, another is heading for the Indies. What's more, the people are telling about his name that he has one at the Rialto and there is a third ship in Mexico. Also a fourth one that is in England, as well as the other business ventures are throughout the world that he owns. And then he says, but ships are but boats, sailors but men. There be land rats and water rats, water thieves and land thieves. I mean pirates. And then there is the peril of water, winds and rocks. The man is notwithstanding sufficient. But ships are just fragile boats, and sailors just men. There are rats and thieves and pirates, not to mention the storm, winds and rocks. Anything could happen. But in spite of all this, the man is still wealthy enough. 3,000 ducats, I think. I can lend him or guarantee the loan to you on his name. So this is what Shylock says to Bassanio. Now by this introduction, we come to know about the character of Shylock. To analyze the character of Shylock, Shylock is the most vivid and memorable character in The Merchant of Venice. and he is one of Shakespeare's greatest dramatic creation. And he is the villain of the drama. It is he who exemplifies the negative character here. And in the further scenes, we will find there is greed, jealousy, and vengeance in this character as well. And here, Shylock's life revolves around money. In fact, he has a reputation for charging too much interest on loan. Now, moving into the text, Bassanio says, "Be assured you may." That means, I assure you, he will be able to clear you the debts if I fail. Shylock says, "I will be assured I may, and that I may be assured. I will think me. May I speak you, Antony?" Shylock says, "I will be assured I may, and that I may be assured. I will bethink me. May I speak with Antonio?" So Shylock here, he means, I will be sure he can. Before I make the loan, I'll think of a way to be sure. I want to speak with Antonio. May I? So here Bassanio says, "If it please you to dine with us." Bassanio says, "If you like, you can dine with us today. You can have dinner with us today." Shylock says, "Yes, to smell pork, to eat the habitation which your prophet, the Nazarite, conjured the devil into. I will buy with you, sell with you, talk with you, walk with you, and so following. But I will not eat with you, drink with you, nor pay with you. What news on the Rialto? Who is he comes here?" So Shylock means to say, "Oh yes, to smell pork. I don't think so. Your prophet Jesus sent the devil into the herd of pigs. I am not going to eat that. I'll buy with you, sell with you, talk with you, walk with you, and so on, but I won't eat with you, or drink with you, or pray with you. Any news on the Rialto? Who's that?" So here you find Shylock to be a bit hateful for Antonio for his religious beliefs, or simply because he is not Jewish. Okay, so Shylock hates Antonio because he is honest. And here Shylock hopes to entrap Antonio when Bassanio, Antonio's best friend he is, asks Shylock for this loan. And Antonio is here the one who guarantees it. Meanwhile of these conversations, Antonio enters. "Bassanio, this is Signor Antonio." So he mentions that this is Signor Antonio. Then Shylock says, he was standing at the side, and then he says, "How like a fawning publican he looks. I hate him, for he is a Christian. But more for that a low simplicity, he lends out money great and brings down the rate of usance here with us in Venice. If I can catch him upon once the hip, I will feed fat the incident grudge I bear him. He hates our sacred nation, and he rails even there where merchants most do congregate. On me, my bargains, and my well-won theft, which he calls interest, cursed be my tribe, I forgive him." So by this Shylock means to say he was standing aside and he was telling to himself, "He looks just like the guy who's robbed me, but now comes to beg me for a favor. I hate him because he is a Christian, but more than that, I hate him because he stupidly lends money without interest, which lowers the interest rates here in Venice. If I can just get the upper hand for him once, I'll satisfy my old grudge against him. He hates Jew. Even at the Rialto, he is always complaining about me and my negotiating and my hard-earned profits, which he calls interests. It would be an insult to the Jews everywhere to forgive that man." So, by these stanzas or these line numbers, you can understand well that what are the intention Shylock has in his mind for Antonio and Bassanio. Then Bassanio says, Shylock, do you hear? That means, are you listening to us? Shylock says, I am debating of my present store, and by the gear guess of my memory, I cannot instantly raise up the gross of full 3,000 ducats. What of that? Tubal, a wealthy herbu of my tribe, will furnish me. But soft, how many months do you desire? To Antonio he says this, Rest you fair, good Signia. Your worship was the last man in our mouth. So that means by this Shylock wants to say, I am thinking about how much cash I have on hand. If I remember correctly, I can raise the entire 3,000 ducats immediately. But so what? Tubal is a wealthy Jew I know, will supply me with the cash. But wait a minute, how many months do you want? And then turning to Antonio, he says, Oh, hello! How are you, Signor? We were just talking about you presently at this moment. Then Antonio says, Shylock, albeit I neither lend nor borrow by taking nor by giving of excess. Yet to supply the ripe want of my friend, I'll break a custom. Then turning to Bassanio, he says, Yes, possessed. How much ye would? By this Antonio means to say, Shylock, although I never lend nor borrow with interest, I will break this will by the habit to help my friend in need. And then turning to Bassanio, he says, Does he know how much you need? Shylock, 3,000 ducats. So, oh yes, I know he needs 3,000 ducats. Antonio, and for 3 months. So this is well enough to understand that he needs that, and Shylock confirms even in front of Antonio the sum and the guarantee. Shylock, I had forgot. 3 months. To Bassanio he says, You told me so. To Antonio, well then, your bond and let me see. But hear you. Methought you said you neither lend nor borrow upon advantage. So Shylock here tells, Yes, I forgot. 3 months you said, right, Bassanio? You told me that. To Antonio then he says, Now then, about your guarantee, let me see. But listen, Antonio, I thought you said you don't lend or borrow with interest. So by hearing that, Antonio answers, I do never use it. That means, that's right, I don't do business in this way. That's not my rule. Shylock says, When Jacob grazed his uncle's Laban's sheep, this Jacob from our holy Abram was, as his wise mother wrought in his behalf, the third possessor. He was the third. So Shylock means to say, when Jacob took care of his uncle Laban's sheep, Jacob was the heir to his grandfather Abraham's birthright because his mother cleverly arranged for her husband Isaac to make Jacob their heir. Here, the writer believes that the story of Jacob and Laban's indicates Shylock's preoccupation with the problem of how he may feed his grudge against Antonio, how he may match the cunning of his ancestor, how he may collect interest without taking interest. It is a reference when Jacob and Laban entered into an agreement. It was decided that Jacob would receive lambs born with spotted or stripes at his wages. Being the cleverer one, Jacob during the breeding season arranged the wooden rods in such a way that the shadows of the rods would fall on the sheep. And in this way the latter was manipulated. So then, now Antonio doesn't know about the intentions of Shylock. He says, And what of him? Did he take interest? It means, what's your point? Did he charge interest? Shylock says, No, not take interest. Not as you would say directly interest. Mark which Jacob did when Laban and himself were compromised, and all the earlings which were streaked and pied should fall as Jacob's hire. The ewes bring rank. In the end of autumn turned into rams. And when the work of generation was between these woolly breeders in the act, the skilful shepherd peeled me certain wands, and in the doing of the deed of kind he stuck them up before the fulsome ewes, who then conceiving did in yearning time fall party-coloured lambs, and those were Jacob's. This was a way to thrive, and he was blessed. A thrift is blessing, if men steal it not. So by this, Shylock wants to say, by his description, no, he didn't charge interest, not in your sense of the word. But listen to what Jacob did. When he and Laban agreed that all the spotted lambs would be Jacob's pay, it was the end of autumn when the sheep were starting to mate, because the newborns would look like whatever their mother sees during mating. He stuck some spotted branches into the ground right in front of the sheep, who saw them while they mated. The mother later gave birth to the spotted lambs, all of which went to Jacob. That is the way of expanding his business, and it worked. My point is that profit is a blessing as long as you don't steal to get it. After hearing this, Antonio says, "This was a venture, sir, that Jacob served for, a thing not in his power to bring to pass, but swayed in fashioned by the hand of heaven. Was this interested to make interest good? Or is your gold and silver ewes and rams?" So by this, Antonio means that business venture you're referring to happened because God made it happen like that. Jacob didn't have any control over what happened. Are you saying this story proves that charging interest makes sense? That your interest payments are like Jacob's sheep? Shylock says, "I cannot tell. I make it breed as fast. But note me, Signa." Meaning, I can hardly tell the difference. I make my money multiply as fast as those sheep. But listen to me, Signor Antonio. Then again Antonio replies, "Mark you this, Bassanio. The devil can cite scripture for his purpose. An evil soul producing holy witness is like a villain with a smiling cheek, a goodly apple rotten at the heart. Oh, what a goodly outside falsehood hath." So Antonio means to say, watch out, Bassanio, be very careful. The devil can quote scripture for his own use. So the devil here is Shylock because he's very shrewd and he's playing a mind game. So he is using his own rules to exploit you. An evil soul using a holy story is like a criminal who smiles at you. He looks like a good apple, but he is rotten at the core of his heart. Oh, liar, you look so honest, but you are not that. Then Shylock says, 3,000 ducats. 'Tis a good round sum. 3 months from 12, then, let me see. The rate? So Shylock there replies, 3,000 ducats, that's a nice even sum. For 3 months from 12 months of the year. Let me see, the interest rate will be. Then Antonio continues, Well, Shylock, shall we be holding to you? Well, Shylock, are you going to loan us the money without saying all these things anymore? Then Shylock answers, Signor Antonio, many a time and oft in the Rialto, you have rated me about my moneys and my uncannies. Still have I borne it with a patient shrug. For sufferance is the badge of all our tribe. You call me misbeliever, cutthroat dog. I spent upon my Jewish gabardine, and all for use of that which is mine own. Well then, it now appears you need my help. Go to then. You come to me and you say, Shylock, we would have moneys. You say so. You that did wide your rein upon my beard and foot me as you spun a stranger cur over your threshold. Moneys is your suit. What should I say to you? Should I not say, hath a dog money? Is it possible a cur can lend 3,000 ducats? Or shall I bend low and in a bondman's key, with beated breath and whispering humbleness, say this? So, Shylock means to say, Signor Antonio, you have often insulted me and my money and my business practices in Rialto. I have always just shrugged and put up with it because Jews are good at suffering. You called me a heathen, a dirty dog, and you spit on my Jewish clothes, and all because I used my own money to make a profit. And now it looks like you need my help. All right then, you come to me by saying, Shylock, we need money. You say that, even though you spat on my beard and kicked me like you kick and stray mud out of your front door. And now you are speaking and you are asking about money. You're coming to help for me. What can I tell you? Shouldn't I say, dogs? A dog doesn't have money. Is it possible for a dog to lend 3,000 ducats? Or should I be bent or low down and humble and in submissive voice say, Fair sir, you spent me on Wednesday last, you spurned me such a day another time, you called me dog, and for these courtesies I lend you thus much monies. Meaning, sir, last Wednesday you spit on me. You insulted me on this day, and another time you called me a dog, and out of gratitude for these favors that you have done to me, I'll be happy to lend you the money of 3,000 ducats. Antonio, by hearing all this, he replied, I am as like to call thee so again, to spend on thee again, to spurn thee too. If thou wilt lend this money, lend it not as to thy friends, for when did friendship take a beard for barren metal of his friend? But lend it rather to thine enemy, who if the break you mayst with better face exact the penalty. So Antony said, I'll probably call you those names again and spit on you and reject you again too. If you are going to lend us this money, don't lend it to us as if we were your friends. When did friends charge interest? Instead, lend it to me as your enemy. If your enemy goes bankrupt, it's easier for you to take your penalty from him. So he was also furious, and out of anguish, he told what his mind asked him to say. Shylock, why, look you how you storm. I would be friends with you and have your love. Forget the shames that you have stained me with. Supply your present want and take no doit of Usain for my money, and you'll not hear me. This is kind I offer. So Shylock says, Look at you getting all riled up. See, you are getting so fired up. I want to be your friends, but you are forgetting all the times that you have embarrassed me and humiliated me. And if I say two words, you are getting crossed. I want to give you what I need and what you need too, and not to charge a penny of interest. But you won't listen to me. I am making a kind offer. 0% financing I am offering to you. Then Bassanio says, This were kindness. I am very much happy because this would be really kind. Shylock says, This kindness will I show. Go with me to a notary, steal me there your single bond, and in a merry sport, if you repay me not on such a day, in such a palace, such sum or sums are as expressed in the condition, let the forfeit be nominated for an equal pound of your fair flesh to be cut off and taken in what part of your body pleaseth me. So Shylock here means to say, I'll show you how kind I am. Come with me to the notary, that is, like, come to court with me, and we will make an official deal. And let's add a little clause just for a joke. If you don't repay me on the day that we have agreed upon, in the same place that we have mentioned, or for the same or the exact amount of money that we have fixed up in our contract, your penalty will be a pound of your pretty flesh that I would like to cut and take off from whatever part of your body I would wish to. Antonio says, content in faith, I'll seal to such a bond, and say there is much kindness in the Jew. Antonio means it's a deal then. I agree to those terms and even say that Jews are nice. This is the way you show your kindness, and I agree to it. This is a sarcastic statement, all in heated arguments. Bassanio says, you shall not seal to such a bond for me, I'll rather dwell in my necessity. That means, no, you can't sign a contract like that for me. I would rather go without money. Antonio, why? Fear not, man. I will not forfeit it within these 2 months. That's a month before the bond this expires. I do expect return of thrice 3 times the value of this bond. So Antonio was furious and he said, don't worry about it, man. I won't have to pay a penalty for it. In 2 months and a month before than the due date of the loan expires, I expect to earn more than the 3 times of that much of my investment. Shylock says, O Father Abraham, what these Christians are, whose own hard dealings teaches them suspect the thought of others, pray you tell me this. If he should break this deal, what should I gain by the exact of the forfeit? A pound of man's flesh taken from a man is not so estimable, profitable neither. A flesh of muttons, beefs, or goats, I say, to buy his favour I extend this friendship, if he will take it so. If not, adieu. And for my love, I pray you, wrong me not. So Shylock here means to say, O Father Abraham, what kind of people are these Christians? Their own meanness teaches them to suspect other people. Please tell me this. If he fails to repay me by the deadline, what would I get out of such a penalty? A pound of human flesh. Isn't it miserable? A pound of human flesh taken is even as valuable as a pound of mutton or beef. I am just offering this as favor to a friend. If he agrees, it's great. If not, goodbye. And I hope you won't think anything bad about me after this. Antonio says, yes, Shylock, I will seal unto this bond. So Shylock is very much contented and happy because he was plotting with all these mind games. And Antonio says, yes, Shylock, I'll sign the contract and agree to this term. Shylock says, then meet me forthwith and at the notary's, give him direction for this merry bond, and I will go and purse the ducat straight. See to my house left in the fearful guard on an unthrifty knave, and presently I will be with you. He means to say, then meet me right away at the notary's or at the court. Give him the instructions for our amusing little contract because it was very much exciting for him. He was plotted. And I'll go to get the money for you right away. I need to check in home first because one of my careless servant is in charge right now. I will see you soon. Antonio says, hi thee, gentle Jew. Hurry up, my Jewish friend. So Shylock exists here. The Hebrew will turn Christian, he grows kind. He is so kind you think the Jew is turning the Christian. This is what he meant. Bassanio, I like not fair terms and villain's mind. I don't like this villain's act and his attitude and his thoughtfulness. Antonio says, come on, in this there can be no dismay. My ships come home a month before the day. Antonio says that assures Bassanio, come on, there's no reason to worry, my friend. My ships will come home a month before the money is due, so why to worry? And then they goes away. That is the end of the scene. So this was the explanation of the entire scene. If you have liked my explanation, please subscribe my channel for more audios and for more explanations.